Jace with Jace with my man Marcus Randall, former LSU quarterback. Marcus, what's up?
What's up, baby? In the building, man, for another week, man. We had a great week here, man. Great first week of football for the United States all over, man. We had big games. Started on Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday.
Yep, man. Started on Thursday and went all the way through yesterday.
Yeah.
And went all the way yesterday.
It was beautiful, Coach.
Good deal.
It was beautiful except for one day, and it would happen to be Sunday night, and I was actually there along with Jason, our photographer, and we were both there at the Superdome for the big matchup, LSU versus Florida State, kick off the Brian Kelly era, and I mean it was so much excitement in the air. And like you could just feel the anticipation. Like I saw Jarvis Landry was on the sideline, and like all these former LSU guys were there. And, like it just seemed like okay, this could be a start of a really good day. But it just wasn't that night for LSU, and we'll go and break it down as we see it. You can actually go to Gridiron Football USA.com. I actually wrote a post game article on that game, and there's everything that you need to know about that game is actually in that article. So go check it out at Gridiron Football USA. And actually I'll post an article discussing a little bit more about what are the positives and what are the negatives from that football game. But going through it at the very beginning, and you have to admit this was an aggressive move because from the opening coin toss, LSU elected to receive. So that showed you, okay, like this coaching staff won't play aggressive right now, trying to start off in an aggressive way and trying to start off a right note, sending the message that we're here to play, and that's they want the football first.
They want the ball first. And when you do that, that means that you have seen something, or like you said, when you coming in, that's your game plan, that's your strategy. But a lot of times you've seen some things in practice that you feel very, very strongly on. I know a lot of times going into some of those big games, a lot of the coaches come and they put, they kind of script those first 10 to 15 plays. So if you got that and you feel good about it, I think we said it last week that they had a chance to actually scout these guys because they had seen them already on tape and saw them play against a opponent the week before, so they had the film. And we talked about was it going to be an advantage or not for them having to, them being able to play that one game ahead during that week 0. So I think that they was able to go in with a game plan, and that was that's what I believe was behind them taking the ball first, and hopefully trying to strike it up early on.
And it was a great
first
3
drive. Points.
Yeah, it was a great first drive. The first play, Jaden Daniels showed what he can do with his legs, got 25 yards, plus an extra 15 yards on the late hit out of bounds, right. And they got a couple more penalties. You're inside the red zone, you take a shot to Kayshon Boutte, and really he's expected to make that play because he's a preseason All-American. He's right. Number 7. I mean, it was a tough play, but a guy like that,
that's the matchup you want.
Yeah,
that's the play call you want down there. That's the guy you want to go to down there. And I seen an article on I think from Jacques Doucette when he was speaking to Daniels after the game, man. Right. And he's saying that he spoke very highly of Boutte, and obviously he was very consoling about the data that they had, and he was very positive about what's to come moving forward though. So, but yeah, you got to take that shot though.
Yeah, and they still had a couple more plays, okay, but then the high snap comes, and that just deflates the entire drive, and that's when you have to go and kick the 3 points. And this is the first time a biggest question was kicker, and so the first time we get to see Damian Ramos out there as kicker, he nails the field goal, and like, okay, you're feeling pretty good. I mean, you didn't score the touchdown, but you're up 3-0, and you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, you feel good about yourself. Now you can go out there and play some defense, kind of get in a rhythm, and we was hoping that was going to be the case as we kind of move through that whole first half.
And I really thought like the team really just the air got out of themselves. Like they felt really deflated. I felt like when Mason Smith went down, I thought it took a lot out of that team when he got down with an injury. And which was very unfortunate because I saw him all off season. He was working really hard for this opportunity. He had a great fall camp, and there were a lot of high expectations for him. for this year, and it was reported that yesterday that he did suffer a torn ACL, and he's out for the rest of the season, which is very unfortunate for a guy that's going to be a star for the LSU Tigers.
Yeah, man, that's very unfortunate, and it kind of happened like freak accident-ish. That's why you never know what can happen, but that's why we got the depth that we should be able to have. I know going into this game and into this season, D-line was one of our big hopes for the defense or just for the team in general. We felt like that was our strong point, and we saw some of the other D linemen make some big plays. BJ made some big plays.
Right.
I was kind of shocked about the way how they were able to run the ball on us, though.
Yeah,
that was kind of shocking to me. Being that I think that would be I think our coaching staff and everybody kind of sold out, basically on how we were going to be able to stop the run coming into this game, and mainly just having to focus on that quarterback running. Yeah. But the running back actually had a pretty good day. The offensive lineman that they had, did a pretty good job.
And that was really my thing, too. Like, even the pregame article I put up, the key matchup was Florida State's offensive line, LSU's defensive line. I felt like Florida State, they didn't have to run for 400 yards like they did last time, but they handled their own and able to move the ball against that defensive front. Then they have a really good chance to win this football game, because you see what Jordan Travis can do with his legs, and that was the key and to the victory. And for the most part, as bad as LSU looked in that first half, it was only 7-3. I mean, as sloppy as it looked, as bad as it looked, you come on the scoreboard, they score on a flea flicker play.
Right.
That was the only touchdown they scored in the first half. And so if you're Brian Kelly and the coaching staff, it's like, hey guys, as bad as we possibly played in that first half, it's still only a 7-3 ball game.
Right. And I know that had to be some of the talks, because we saw us come out with a little fire in the second half. Now obviously, Florida State matched that with us, and which made it a good game for the rest of the game. But I think we just didn't play well. I don't think we played up to the caliber of what we can be throughout the whole game, and I think that speaks volumes, because we still only lost by one, with a chance to really tie it to go in overtime right there. So we started looking at the pros and cons of it. That got to be a pro that we played probably as worse as you can play with two blocked field goals, two muff punts.
Yep.
The offensive line kind of struggled there getting that chemistry, which I know that was something we spoke on last week. We thought Coach Brad Davis had played musical chairs. We had the chain centers, and we thought we had kind of had those five guys. Remember, Coach came on and he spoke about the offensive line.
Right.
Remember, we had the video.
Yeah.
So man, those were some of the key things that we wanted to see, and I just think that I know that was one of the things that I know coaches going back in and they reevaluating, and they're gonna have to look at it to see where they are. Or sometimes you got to give those five guys time to gel.
Right, and speaking of the offensive line, and this is why it's great having a guy like you on that's been the quarterback at LSU, that knows exactly what it's like being in that situation. I mean, that was Jaden Daniels' first start as an LSU quarterback, and but the offensive line, you look across the front five, those are all new guys in front of them. So it's going to take a while to really build that trust in those guys up front. And him in the first half, I mean, considering that they were struggling in pass protection and they can't run the football, I guess Jaden Daniels really said, let me take it upon myself and just let me use my legs and use that as a source of the offense in the first half.
And it was. And I think that was huge. I know a lot of times, a lot of people don't want to see the quarterback running that much, and especially in an offense where you got this many weapons around you, from the receiver standpoint and from the tight end standpoint. But if the line can't hold them and you have to make something happen, I think that was the best thing to do. And maybe the coaching staff knew something about that when they were lining up to play him as the starter. Maybe that came into that those picks and choosing when you were trying to pick who the guy was going to be. And I saw something today. He was the first quarterback in his first start to throw for 200 and rush for 100 yards. So he was very productive back there with it, leading that 99-yard 2-minute offensive drive. Leading them down there to be able to take it into overtime.
I thought Jaden Daniels played as possibly as good as you could play in those situations like you said, throwing for 200 yards. He completed 74% of his passes, ran for another 100 yards. Him and Joe Burrow, the only two LSU quarterbacks to ever do that.
Yep.
Throw for 200 and run for 100. And yeah, I mean, he showed a lot of composure on that last touchdown drive. I mean, that's like that drive, Coach. If that wasn't for the blocked extra point, we would be talking about that 9-yard drive in the same light as we would be talking about your Bluegrass Miracle and the Billy Cannon run. We would be talking about that sequence as much as any other sequence if it wasn't for the block extra point.
And it was kind of right after right after that muff punt. Defense came out, did what they needed to do, and was able to come in and like you say, man, step up and lead a 9-yard drive. That's something special under those pressure moments.
And that's one positive takeaway. We're talking about the positives, and the one positive is Jane Daniels and his play down the stretch. And he showed that in clutch moments, when you need it the most, he can be a clutch quarterback that's calm and collected and can lead a touchdown drive just like we saw. So that's one thing you have coming in and say, hey, we can trust this guy down late in a football game to lead the team down the field and make the throws. And he actually, the last two drives of the game, he looked very comfortable as a passer the last two drives of the game. Yeah,
and he did. I think, like you say, the line got a little more comfortable. He, I think, kind of got used to the speed of the game, and those guys. Once you show that you can use your legs and be effective with it, now your linebackers can't drop as hard into those passing lanes. Now they gotta at least be account for you back there being able to put it down and run. So now they gotta kind of play a little bit more, run style versus being able to drop in those passing lanes. And when you have that, and when you can create that either with the running back or with the quarterback, then now you can get those passing lanes to be a little bit more open, and then you can be able to find those receivers downfield. But if you can't run it, and you can't use your legs to extend plays or at least make them honest with it, man, you're gonna struggle.
Right. And for most of the night, it was just trying to find that footing. I mean, you got a new offensive coordinator, new play caller, new quarterback, new offensive line, new running. Like, besides the receivers, everything was new.
Right.
So just as the game, everybody was asking, why wasn't LSU like this starting off? That's because they're figuring it out as they go. This is the first time they actually sell on the field.
So go back again. I think we got to keep going back to the Florida State played one game, and we hadn't, and I think we spoke about that last week to see was it a pro or con, what side we're going to sit on, and I think we still sit here today with pros and cons of both of them, because I think that we were able to have a game plan going in for them, but I think that maybe us having to have a game too and get our feet underneath to figure out who we are this year as the 2022 LSU Tigers, and be able to move forward with that. So we still was able to find out some of those things, though. Who we are. We didn't play a cupcake team and have any false securities coming in early. So I think we still got a chance to, get our identity underneath the coaching staff. Now know these guys and now I've seen them in those pressure situations, so they get a chance now to really evaluate them and see what the next steps are.
So we know the answer. It happened 2 years in a row for LSU because they played UCLA last year, and UCLA had that tune-up game.
Correct.
So it's the same situation.
Now. So I got to go back to scheduling now. Man. Who's doing this?
I think he's learned his lesson by now.
Stop it.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess my dad was right about having that tune-up game and because you get better For you, it could be from game 1 to game 2 or game 2 to game 3, but still having that game in there, you know how to improve, and Florida State had an extra jump on that. So another positive takeaway, I thought, was, when we talk about the receivers, we always talk about Keyshawn Butte and Brian Thomas. We go down the list. But the 5th or 6th guy we always go to is Jaray Jenkins.
Correct.
And he was the guy that he's always stepped up in the clutch.
He's always been solid, man. Always been solid, always in there. Even when other receivers are balling or maybe stat-wise a little bit, how he's always been consistent and been right there ready to make plays.
Yeah, and it was really another positive was along the lines of Jaray. It was guys that weren't nearly the stars or the guys at the top of the depth chart stepping up. So he stepped up. Jaray Jenkins had the 2 touchdowns, especially the one on the last play of regulation.
Correct.
But also I thought, considering the circumstances, Mekhi Wingo from Missouri, when Mason Smith went down, he was a guy that came in for Mason, considering those circumstances, and he played really well. About 6 or 7 tackles, and he was the guy that gave LSU a chance of recovering that fumble at the 1-yard line. Having the guy step up like that, a new LSU Tiger too. Obviously, he's not Mason Smith. But he's a guy that can be a really good piece in the middle of the defense for you.
Well, man, and when you play SEC football, you better have more than one guy. You better have a depth chart guy, and I think that's what we wanted to see too. We know. Going into the bowl game last year, we was all over the place. We didn't even have enough scholarship guys, you know. So I will say shout out to Brian Kelly and his staff for at least starting to put those pieces back together for the depth that we need to be able to compete. Now, obviously, we don't want to keep getting guys hurt and having to keep making messes because now we got to get somebody else to play behind him now. But I think that's a good thing. And it shows that we have built our team back up, and we building that depth back up to be able to play in the SEC.
And a lot of questions was the secondary, like how the secondary would hold up with a whole new look at in the secondary. And I thought really the secondary played well. I saw Mekhi Garner from ULL make a lot of plays, and then the safeties Jay Ward and Major Burns, who are the experienced guys, they played really good. So the guy from East State held his own. So and that was a big question, like can this guy from East State play well?
The big light,
and he did. Like they threw it at him one time that I vividly remember, and it was great coverage, and the receiver was trying to go for the pass interference call, but he played it well. And really, I thought the secondary, the 2 touchdowns passes Travis threw, the second one with the target with Allie Gay hit him. That was a perfectly placed ball, and he caught it one-handed. It was just so much you can do. And the first one was a trick play, which anybody could easily fall for. So I thought the secondary, for the most part, looked pretty well.
But I think they played well. But I will say, when I go back and I look at the stats and just watching the game, I think we gave up too many third downs. And I don't know what the coverage calls are or what we were playing, but I mean, it was looking like they kept sending the guy right over the middle.
The tight end.
Right over the middle of the ball. It was like easy throws, right? I mean, those are the easiest throws to make it right here over the ball. We wasn't forcing it outside or, low percentage throws. We was giving up the high percentage throws on third down. That is, I mean, like I said, the secondary I think played solid. Because I don't know what coverages they was actually playing. But I will say I think that their third down percentages were very high, and when you allowing teams to stay on the field and instead of convert third down, that kind of takes some air out you as a defense. Like, you got to keep on playing, play after play.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the third down defense as one of the negatives too. And one more positive, there weren't a lot of them. I mean, just looking at this game, LSU was very lucky for it to even be in that position to actually have a chance to tie or win the football game at the end. But my only other positive is just the fact how this team fought, and they kept on fighting. Like, in any other situation when it was 24-10, it could have been with a new team. You don't really have a lot of proven leaders really in the locker room just because there's a lot of young guys on the team. It could have been really easy for this group just to give up and say, hey, this is not our night. Let's just call it quits and just focus on the next game. But they kept battling back, and the light went on at the end of the third quarter. I was very impressed that even though Malik Neighbors fumbled twice as a punt returner, it didn't affect LSU because the goal line defense, red zone defense was great for LSU. They held him out the first time he fumbled. And that was when Sage Ryan was on the coverage and the pass was incomplete, turnover on downs. And the second time was the fumble that led to the 99-yard drive. So the goal line defense, how the guys kept on battling and trying to get back in this game, that was a positive, knowing that this wasn't their night. And I've really learned a lot from that team just over the last 15 minutes of play, that they didn't give up in an adverse situation. Right,
and again, you don't want to lose ball games, but you do want to see what you're going to do when adversity hits. And like you said, we did see, a couple of adversity. They just brought them up. I mean, the muff punts out, and nobody wants to see that. That man, not, especially not when you play great defense, man, you stopped them, you did everything right defensively, and then you you muff a punt and now you inside of your red zone or you back put your back against the wall. And it's for those guys to be able to come back out and stop them and be able to still play defense and not feel, heads down, give up a score here or there. And that's what actually kept us in the game, and it wasn't as worse as it could have been.
Yeah, and those are pretty much about the positives from that game. And I know a lot of heat is going on, and people are questioning about Kayshon Boutte and so right now. But what I did notice was that he was the first one to approach Malik Neighbors to say, head up, we got this, we got your back, no worry. So
Correct.
That showed me a lot there, and that's not what a lot of people saw in that game, was what he was able to do. And I love how the coaching staff got Malik involved in the game still as a receiver. I remember they threw it on that 99-yard touchdown drive a couple of times early to him, saying, hey, we still need you in this game. And it's a good way for him, like, mentally, to still be involved in the game and not worry about those two muff punts.
Mm-hmm.
So focusing on the negatives, how much time you got, Coach? But really third down defense, and you mentioned it. It was just key moments, like, and I saw it from a very high angle in the press box, but a lot of times when it was 3rd and 5, and it seemed like the defense was playing way too deep or way too off, allowing for the tight end to go over the middle and make the catch and yardage, and like first and second down defense, LSU didn't do that bad.
Right.
It was just the money down. They just couldn't get off the field, and Coach Kelly said that's what he wants from his defense. He wants turnovers, third down stops, and unfortunately they didn't get those third down stops.
Well, I think that just looked like that was Florida State's game plan: run the ball, staying good down in distance. Other than the flea flicker, it wasn't really a whole lot of deep plays they were trying to make. They were trying to stay good down in distance, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. And like you said, they had the game plan, just keep the sticks moving, first down. I mean, whether he had to run it or whether he just made easy throws, I think that we just kind of gave up too many easy first downs that we could have, got the defense off the field and maybe flipped the field position early and did some of those things. And I think that could have helped us more in that first half.
I'll tell you what, though, as a quarterback, you can appreciate this, but I was very impressed with Jordan Travis and what he did that night. I thought he played exceptionally well, and he did exactly what they needed to do for their game plan in order to come out with the win. I thought he was fantastic that night for Florida State.
Again, he did everything that his team needed him to do for them to be able to get the W at the end of the day. And like I said, it wasn't nothing heroic. But he played inside himself, inside the scheme, and just made plays with his legs and with his own.
And as far as like defensively, and actually Coach Kelly said it today, they counted. They had 17 missed tackles in that football game, and so the ability to tackle and bring guys down. It wasn't just Jordan Travis. Sometimes they had Travis in the backfield, and somehow make a play and extend plays. Kind of remind me of the Bo Nix game last year against Auburn, when Bo Nix was extending plays and LSU had him dead to rights, but somehow found a way out of it. It reminded me a lot of that game, but Jordan Travis just made plays, and really on receivers, just yards after catch. Florida State receivers were bouncing off the defenders for LSU, and really tackling was an issue overall defensively. And that's something that you really see in first games.
First couple games. Yeah. Again, that's something that you see because you don't really tackle in practice like that. I mean, you thud up and you practice all the techniques, but you don't really get a chance to really do a lot of just tackling. So those come with games, like you say. Again, Florida State had that one game up on us, and I think that played a big part of it. And they was able to run the ball. That was just a whole nother thing that I didn't feel like going into this game that they would be able to do that well against our front.
Now, I wasn't surprised with Florida State's defense line is really good. So I expected them to have I expected LSU to have problems trying to block those guys. Not as bad as I thought.
Oh, I'm going to say, I ain't think...
Not as bad as I thought. I thought they would have some struggles with it.
Okay.
But not nearly as bad as that.
Man, my guy number 5 from Florida State.
Yeah,
I can't think of his name, but
he
was outstanding. I think he was a transfer there.
Yeah, I think he came from like Albany, out of all places. I don't know how he just falls to Albany,
right.
But like This guy could be a
I think he was
All-American.
kind of rated like one of the top transfers in the country.
Mm-hmm. He was.
Okay, so and he definitely showed why.
Yeah, he did.
He definitely showed why. I mean,
he blocked the field goal, and he was just on the backfield.
He gave us fits all night. And, we didn't really have an answer for that guy.
Yeah, and just the offensive line was another, negative takeaway from this game. Just maybe a lot of it has to do with just camaraderie and just chemistry, playing together for the first time. But it was a tough night for the offensive line for LSU. I think they're talented, and I think they can grow and be better over the course of the year. But just that first game, it showed that like all the questions that we're asking about all fall along about what this offensive line and where they're at. It ran its ugly head in that game, and it showed. So it was very rough on the offensive line, not only in pass protection, but besides Jay and Daniels picking up and using his legs and running the football on quarterback scrambles. That was the only source of running game you actually also saw that night too.
Right. And if we have any chance of doing real well in the SEC, we're gonna have to get that running game going, because we can't be one dimensional. Can't just ride back and try to throw it every down or let Daniels run the ball. We're gonna definitely have to be able to have some form of run game. And again, with the staff that we have and who I think they are, that they will get this fixed.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of. My thing was, I was curious how the coaching staff would make adjustments in the second half, and I thought they did. And that's another reason why they came back and had a chance at it at the end. Not only did they make adjustments in the second half, but I thought they made adjustments throughout the third quarter. And it was, late in the third quarter that the light bulb came on for LSU. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, maybe, like I said, it's just a new team, and you're in here. First time all year Florida State's got a game. And now, when me and you talked, I was like, okay, if LSU can hang in the first quarter, I think they get stuff rolling in the second quarter. And it just happened to be a little later than we expected when they got rolling.
But it did happen.
Yeah.
And we ultimately had a chance to take it overtime and win it. Special teams there. But again, those are some of the things and some of the jitters that you get out in the first games, or at least you get a chance to, go through it. And that was Malik Neighbors' first time ever catching the punch. I read what Coach Kelly said about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and I don't want to take it out of context, but he said that, they saw him do it. I mean, they felt comfortable in him doing it, and he basically said that he and the staff that they were wrong about the guy. Now I don't know that, because this guy could bounce back and run kicks back for the rest of the year and be electrifying.
Yeah.
But we do know that last game just wasn't that game.
Yeah. I find it interesting that Wednesday when they broke the news that Malik Neighbors would be the punt returner, I was actually the guy that asked the question. It was the SEC teleconference, and I asked Coach Kelly, what was the update on punt return, kick return? Do you have an idea of by now of who the guy would be? And he said Jace is going to be Malik Neighbors. We like his ability as a kick returner, a punt returner, and ability to make plays. So he said he's going to be the guy. So I find that interesting that unfortunately it was not the game that a lot of people expected in him with the muff punts and everything. But he is definitely explosive, and I can see why that he's an option. And I'm curious how LSU approaches this moving forward. And you got a game this week against Southern. I'm curious if they'll put Malik still out there and just have an opportunity just to learn and get better and have another chance at it, or
I don't think so.
You got Sage Ryan was also returning punts, and you also
from the comment I heard from him, man, I think they're gonna try to at least try some other guy. I ain't saying he won't ever be back there or he won't even start off back there, but I know they're gonna go looking for another option and probably another option, and you don't never want to get caught with at least guys to be able to just catch it. Back there.
Another guy to watch out for, and it also kind of depends on how he bounces back from the shin splints that he was battling all fall along, but Jack Bush, because Jack Bush was a guy that returned punts at St. Thomas more. So that could be a sneaky wild card of a guy that can return punts. But speaking of special teams, that tops the list on what caused LSU to to lose that football game. It's not just the 2 muff punt returns by Malik Neighbors. It was also the shank punt by Jay Bramlett, who I've seen in practice. He can boom them. He actually had a 55-yard punt before that. And then also the blocked field goal, and then the play that decided it all, the blocked extra point. So special teams coming in, we knew special teams was a question mark. I mean, you have a new kicker, a new punter, new returner, new long snap. Like, it was a question mark, but it wasn't really heavily focused on throughout really the fall. As far as the media goes and like trying to say how young that unit is. But in the end, it wasn't even the young kicker, the young punter, the young long snapper, all that. It was the execution of the blocking on that extra point field goal unit. That's what it was.
I mean, unless they run a new scheme, everybody blocks down when we start talking about field goals and PATs. And for some reason, our wing guy just never stepped toward that tackle. I mean, that tight end, and we was just kind of letting them kind of just slip through those cracks. And I mean, you got to be tight when we start talking about get through there. And if they gonna get through there, they should have to run over you. Man, they used to have a rule called, man, just get ran over slow.
Don't give them the quickest lane.
Get ran over slow, man.
Right.
Yep. So, because I mean, those snappers and those holders and those kickers, they practice that and they on a time. They got a time that they got to meet every time. So they know what the time is. They know what the time of the blocking should be, and you rep that over and over and over. So it's unfortunate for us to be able to be in a position that we were in and to have it all taken away in the blink of an eye because of a PAT.
Yeah.
Now,
of all things.
I will say this, of all things, now, and I don't know if it was the curse, but normally at Florida State, if you look back through history,
they're the ones that are on the wrong end.
They normally the ones on
wide left, wide right.
They normally, so I guess the football gods gave them one.
Yeah, it was. I think the football guys were having a fun time.
Yeah,
like they're giving the LSU a chance, and they're like, "Oh, nope, psych."
Right.
So it was just one of those things. Now we had the conversation too. Now it wasn't hindsight. I was actually thinking in my mind, I think it'd be best if LSU goes for 2 here. Like even if they did get it or didn't get it, I feel like that was actually the call, in my opinion, just because of how this game was kind of going, how Florida State outplayed you. You have all this momentum already. Might as well try to get the 2 points and come out there with a win, knowing that's a game that you shouldn't have been having any business winning, and especially what happened on the field goal attempt. But for you, as far as the call to kick the extra point and go to time and send it overtime, you thought that was the right decision by the coaching staff?
If I'm the coach there, I'll take that extra point, take it to overtime, and see where we are. Maybe got the momentum right now. Looked like we done figured some things out late in that third, fourth quarter. So I think we had their back against the wall. I think at that point, Florida State had gave us their best punch. And again, if we're on the road and we at Florida State, or if the time left on the clock might have been a little different, then I might be talking about something else. I might be talking about going for that too, and just trying to see if we can just sneak out there, sneak the win out of there on them. But I think that we was in a position where we had started showing some dominance. But like you said, my guy Wingo had came in, and the defense, back against the wall had showed that they could stand up down there with their back against the wall already throughout the game. So that would have been my same call too as well. You would never thought that he would have you would have missed the PAT right there in the game.
Yeah, and it so happened to be on that same left side. It wasn't like the first one came from the left side and the second one came from the right side. It happened to be from the same side. And Coach Kelly actually said we made a personnel change to the field goal unit after the first block field goal. But I'm curious what really went down, what went wrong, and for the same problem to happen. Knowing that they did make adjustments and they tried to shore up that problem, and just so happened Florida State executed the situation.
It just didn't work out for us right there.
So moving on, final score. LSU drops the first game of the Brian Kelly era, 24-23 against Florida State. It was very disappointing considering the last time LSU was in the Caesars Superdome, it was the Joe Burrow year,
Yes,
and LSU
indeed.
won national championship. So disappointing way to start the season. But we know that even the greatest college football coach of all time, his first year at Alabama, who they lose to in the first year, they lost to ULM.
ULM.
So you consider the Alabama dynasty that they have now.
Right.
It's a process, and you know about coach, about
Correct.
processes.
Mm-hmm.
So this doesn't happen overnight. Considering what happened last year, LSU only had 39 scholarship players in the bowl game. So it's going to take a while to build that back up to what LSU is used to being.
Correct, man, and that's no fix right now. So other than what you can fix on the field, a lot of those other things gonna come in. As you see his, next class, his 2023 class, his 2024 class, and we start building up those guys and be able to bring, guys like that in. But I'm not throwing this season away. I think that we got some playmakers over here, and with a little fix on the offensive line, and I think that we might be gonna be able to turn this thing right around.
Yeah, I think so too. And I still trust in his coaching staff and Brian Kelly, and I haven't lost any faith in him whatsoever after that first game. And we saw the last 2 years. If you look at the first game last year in the loss against UCLA, and the loss before that, the year before, the Mississippi State, did you thought coming in, oh, there's no way we're going to beat Florida. There's no way we're going to beat Texas A&M. But guess what? They beat Florida and Texas A&M. So the team grows over the course of the year. Coming in, we knew this was a young team. This was a team that was going to have growing pains. It's just the nature of it. So it just happened to go a little bit earlier than everybody thought. But this team's young. They're going to grow together. They're going to get better. And they have the talent enough to still salvage. I mean, it's still game one of the season.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the growth and see where we go from this, because it's going to tell us a lot about who Brian Kelly really is and who this new staff is that we have down here. This is going to be able to tell us right now where we are and where we stand, and where our new team stand right now.
Yeah, I think we'll have a good idea where LSU is when they open up the SEC schedule against Mississippi State, which is going to be a task that we'll see how LSU has improved since the Florida State loss. And speaking of moving forward to this week, Coach, I know this is a very special week for the Randall family. So I know it's going to be a little bit competitive this week. So LSU and Southern. The whole city of Baton Rouge is going to be there.
It's up.
It's going to be great, Coach. And I'm not sure what kind of side bet you and Eric have right now, but
you don't want to bet, man. Come on, I don't think you want to bet. I know it's a lot of SU fans, a lot of people around here. They had that 80-something point to 0 win.
Yeah.
And they saw us take a L, and they got their hopes up big, man. They got their hopes up big, and people are talking about betting and all this, man. But man, we still got to come back to reality. Man, we still got to come back to reality.
Right.
Now, but hey, I think it's gonna be I don't know what the game's gonna be, but I know right now, just the atmosphere and the way how everybody feel about the game right now, just a lot of things that's going on even outside of just the football game. Right. So you got people coming together that you haven't seen even come together before. So I think this is great for the city. It's a big time game. I think both teams gonna grow from this, no matter what the outcome is, and I think they are doing something great for the city.
I agree. It's crazy to think that over just hundreds of years, this is the first time LSU and the Southern are going to play against each other. Just imagine what the halftime show is going to be, and just not even the football side of it, just having the whole city of Baton Rouge in that stadium, seeing LSU and Southern play against each other. It was too long coming for this. So we waited a while for this, and now we're finally having it. So I'm excited just to see really both Baton Rouge college programs coming together and just having the whole city of Baton Rouge, the whole community, the whole city involved.
I know. I can recall, the 03 season, after the 03 season, and we didn't play each other, but we were both national champions. They were black national champions. We were BCS national champions, and we had the big parade downtown. And that was one time where I saw all of the LSU fans and all the Southern fans coming together, united, and that was one time I could see the city was, all one. Everybody felt together, and that's what kind of the same feel I feel right now. I know everybody rooting for their teams.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people have come together, did events together, doing other things together, because I think they understand that it's bigger than the game.
Yeah, and it's like that with any other, when the LSU plays any other in-state school. It's special with Southeastern, ULL, Louisiana Tech, no matter what. If it's an in-state rivalry, the other team, regardless, as an in-state school, they're going to treat that as the Super Bowl, knowing that they thought they felt like that. Hey, we weren't good enough to play at LSU. Well, we'll show them. It's my shot to prove it. Yeah. So in Tiger Stadium, in this great venue, from 100,000 people.
Right.
So Southern is going to give LSU all that they can handle.
Yeah. They're gonna come in ready now. Coach Dooley, his first year over there with the program. Now he's a long time SU coach.
Yeah, he is.
He went on and went to Prairie View. They did some great things over there before coming back. And again, man, you saw his debut. They came out on fire.
Yeah.
They came out on fire. Now I know a lot of people questioning the talent of the team they played, but still you got to go play it. And they still was over there playing. So you got to give a shout out to him and his coaching staff and that administration over there for what they're doing over there, trying to build that program back all the way back up.
Yeah, and I think that was a perfect hire for Southern because of what he did. Not only what he did at Prairie View, but also he was a coach on the staff when he knows what it's like to win those national championships, as he was under Pete Richardson. So he knows exactly what it's like to win at Southern. I think that was the perfect hire there. Now, talking about side bets before we go, Coach. So Mom and I, we have come with a side bet right here. She thinks that there's a good chance Southern's going to actually pull this off. She's on the Southern bandwagon.
Hey!
So I'm like, no, this ain't going to happen no matter how bad the situation is for LSU. So we got a side bet. So if you're watching Chase with Jace, next week, if Southern beats LSU, and that's a big if, and it's actually not going to happen. And I don't think I'm going to be good. But if Southern beats LSU, I'm going to be in a Southern jersey, and Mom's going to be hosting the Chase with Jace. So she's going to be interviewing Marcus, and it's her show. So I give her the keys of the Cadillac and let her run with it.
Man. I think you got a safe bet.
We're gonna see how safe.
I bet this one all day, every day. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. No offense.
Right.
I bet it all day, every day.
You got a score prediction for Saturday?
Man. Let me look at this, man. I think we're gonna have a point to prove right here.
Okay.
I'm thinking
statement win for LSU.
It's gonna be a statement win. I'm gonna say 45-10.
That's something along those lines I was thinking about. Yeah, we have 49-17, something 49-13, something like that. I
don't know what the point spread is, but we gonna clear.
I haven't looked. Yep.
We gonna clear that.
Yep. So
big bucks, no whammies. If you betting, you better get your money right.
Well, Coach, any final thoughts? Now I know Woodlawn is trying to come back to a bounce back week this week. Just what's been practice been like? I know it was a tough loss to U High last week. That's a team that's going to be right there for another state championship for sure. But what's just been the mindset of the team, and just what's been the week like so far?
It actually been very positive. I mean, we started off yesterday on Labor Day. We was able to go in, start practice off early. Everybody was out of school, and we came back to day and got 2 days in, and it looked like the first week where we've been able to go out multiple days because of the rain and stuff like that. So we were able to get some great work in. I just felt like that UI team, man, especially defensively, man, they got some studs over there.
Yeah.
Man, they played some great football over there. We wasn't able to block them pretty much all night long, with Asbury over there. And Allsbury.
Right.
Then we got Keelan Moses was over there.
Sure.
Beckman, man, that they may have one of the better linebacking cores in the state over there, man. And actually seeing them on the field, seeing them on tape was one thing, but actually being able to see them in person, that was a whole different thing. And see them run, I think they pursued to the ball very, very well. Even from the defensive line standpoint, you got Alex Haynes in there, who's not nose guard, but he's actually playing as a nose guard because of his strength. I'm guessing strength and athleticism, man. I'm seeing him run and play down from sideline to sideline, man. So those guys did a great job. But I will say our defense stood up too as well, man. We gave them the ball in great positions, time and time again throughout the game, and our defense went out there and stepped up every time. Forced 2 field goals after getting the ball already in the red zone and blocked one other field goal early in the game. So, man, it was some pros that we took away with it. Sure. But we definitely got to get that offensive line. I almost feel like I'm saying the same thing I had to say about
LSU. Yeah,
we got to get
right.
the offensive line right and get that continuity. Man, we had 4 to 5 guys. It was their first time ever playing varsity football. After having to suspend 2 other guys earlier that day off the offensive line. So, man, we're gonna have a chance to bounce back. And we got a chance to see who we are. We didn't get a chance to play our Jamboree game. Yeah, sure. And they did. So we,
a lot of similarities.
A lot of similarities, and that's just the similarities of football, as you can see. Those things do matter. So I guess I can go back and at this point, I know hindsight is 50-50, but now if I had to go back and answer your question from last week, does that one game matter? I think it really does. Yeah. And I have a chance to live it in reality and see it in reality for LSU. So, man, I would definitely have to take that back and I could be more assertive on my answer now and say I would definitely rather have a game under my belt playing first.
I think everybody's learned their lesson here after this weekend. And wrapping it up, Coach, I know that it doesn't get any easier. This week I got LCA.
Correct.
And that's a team that just defeated Acadiana. That's a 5A powerhouse.
That looked impressive.
Looked very impressive doing it.
So, it don't get no easier for us. So, again, man, unlike college football, if you lose 1 or 2 in college football, you can almost write your ticket off if you got aspirations of trying to play in like championship game. Yeah. But at this point right now, man, a lot of these games are going to give us some identity. They're going to let us know where we really are. We won't have any false securities as we building for to really get geared up to play for district and compete for a district championship and ultimately go into the playoffs and playing for a state championship. These are some of the games that I think going to build that character and build everything else that we need.
Well, Coach, this is going to wrap it up for the Chase with Jace. I know it wasn't a great weekend for Marcus Randall, just with one on Friday and LSU, but I hope bounce back week for both squads,
bounce
Coach.
Back like juvenile, man. That's how we coming.
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed the Chase with Jace. This is actually going to be on 7 o'clock, so we actually moved it to 7 because I know coaches like you are coaching at 5, 6 o'clock, so it gives you an opportunity to actually watch it live. So 7 o'clock on the Chase with Jace now, and we got a lot of great announcements. The bowl game announcement for Manny is coming very soon. Probably just as soon as you watch this.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming very soon. And then also myself, Andy, and Marcus, we're going to pick a player of the week every week in high school football, and we'll announce the decision on the show too. So I'm excited about that. But anything going on, and we got so much content just every single day. Make sure to go to GridironFootballUSA.com. We got a lot of great stuff planned. And like I said, Marcus is going to be here every week during the LSU season talking Fighting Tiger football and some Panthers football too. So make sure to check it. And make sure to check out Slinging It With Marcus. Hope everybody enjoyed this segment. And when we come back, we'll talk some high school football and more. You just finished watching Slinging It With Marcus. for Jace's game of the week, and as y'all know about my schedule with Episcopal High School, as I do announce football games for the Knights on Fridays, and I love that opportunity. I appreciate VSN and Randy Richard, Travis Bourgeois for giving me the opportunity to announce games for the Knights. But on the downside, I also get to miss a lot of games on Friday night, which is really the majority of games out there throughout the state. But when I get a chance on Thursday, when I'm not calling games for the Knights, I do like to go around the state and see whatever games catch my eye throughout the course of the season. I write a game recap, and I post some highlights as well from the highlights of that football game. And so for the first week of the season, it was a pretty big Thursday night. And we had Woodlawn High School going against U High in a big-time matchup. Will Harper as well, and Andy Bryson went and covered that game and wrote a game report and posted highlights as well. So go check that out at gridironfootballusa.com to check out those game highlights and the game recap as well, which was a game that really surprised a lot of people based on the outcome, because heading in, we expected Woodlawn and U High to be a heavyweight matchup. Unfortunately, the game didn't really live up to the hype, and U High really took control of the game defensively in a really surprising shutout victory, 25-0 against the Woodlawn Panthers. And I tell you something, those U High Cubs, man, they are ready to play, and they're actually going to be one of the favorites to contend for a state championship this year and in Division II. Well, meanwhile, while Andy and Will were at that game, I was at Olympia Stadium on Thursday night to cover another pretty good matchup in the Baton Rouge area between the Southern Lab Kittens and the Liberty Magnet Patriots. Now, this is my Jace's game of the week for week number 1. Week number 2, I'm still debating right now what game I'll be going to week 2. It will actually be announced probably later on the show. You'll probably hear what my game 2 will be at the end of the show, so make sure to check in at the end of the show as I make my pick for my game of the week, which will be a Thursday, because I'll be calling the game for Friday for the Episcopal Knights as they take on St. Thomas Aquinas on the road on Friday night. So with obligations for VSN, I'll be calling the game for Episcopal, but I will be covering the game for Gridiron Football on Thursday. Now, enough of that. Let's talk about the game I did cover this past week on Thursday, and it was the Southern Lab Kittens and the Liberty Magnet Patriots. I chose this game because there are a lot of storylines with that game. The Southern Lab Kittens are coming off a Division IV state championship, so they're coming in with the target on their backs as a defending state champion for the first time under coach Daryl Osbury, which you'll be hearing from in just a moment. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, if you look at the Liberty Magnet Patriots, new head coach Corey Lindsay. Coach Lindsay is the son of Coach Keith Woods, who's at Mentorship Academy. He's getting his first chance as a head football coaching job. Very talented team. You got Caleb Jackson, Colin Gross, a lot of really good talented players at Liberty, but the problem is you're moving up to Class 5A and you get to play, which is like the equivalent of high school football, the SEC West, and that's when you play the likes of Catholic High, Scotlandville, Woodlawn, Zachary. I mean, you want me to continue? I mean, it's a lot of teams that you heard me talk about. There's a lot of teams that are really good in that district, so you got to be up for it every week. And it was really important for Liberty to really start off on the right foot. Now, when you have Caleb Jackson in the backfield, the LSU commit, you have yourselves a chance every week to win the football game. But I got a chance to catch up with the defending state champion head coach, Coach Osbury, as he talks about really the matchup before the game between the Patriots and the Kittens. This is what Coach Osbury had to say about the matchup between themselves and the Patriots up in Class 5A at Olympia Stadium. Jace LeJeune here from Gridiron Football, here with Southern Lab head coach Daryl Osbury. And Coach Osbury, huge game here tonight against Liberty. A lot of stars on both sides of the football for both teams. What is it like? We have kickoff actually tonight. Games actually matter. So what is it like to come for week 1, prepare against a really good and talented Liberty football team?
Well, you know, it's always fun for week 1. You know, you're tired of letting your guys bang on each other. Had a great jamboree last week against A-Meet. Great championship battle. And then you prepare for a great team like Liberty with the athletes they have and a brand new coaching staff. I think it's going to be a good game tonight.
Yeah, that's definitely a good measuring stick. Just starting off the season, because Amy, you know what they can do. They won the state championship last year, and Liberty, they're loaded into a new district. So, what did you like from the Amy jamboree and to carry forward into here tonight? What do you like from that jamboree?
Well,
Coach?
the intensity of our kids. I thought it was a real good intensity match on both sides, but our kids' intensity level was real high. We played 4 quarters of football. I think the things that hurt us was the penalties and the turnover. We kind of beat ourselves. But other than that, our team played real fast, and I was real impressed with that.
I know Carl Williams, he's a guy that's committed to Baylor. I know he's a big-name guy for y'all. Who are some other guys, Coach, that we should keep an eye on here tonight?
Well, we have Antonio Donahue, another big play receiver. Carlos Sanders up front, offensive line. Gideon Spotsfield, defense and offensive line up front. We have Douglas starting at running back as well. We still have a lot of talent, here from last year. It's just now they're just a little younger. We only have 5 seniors. So from now until the 3rd or 4th game, the key is just getting the chemistry and getting everybody on the same page and get ready to make another run.
And how hungry this team really is. I know last year y'all coming off a state championship, so now y'all got the targets on y'all back right now. How do you think the team's really responded with that target being on their back?
Well, some of these guys were on the team last year, but the key again, just that young group, just trying to get them to gel. The seniors are doing a great job showing some leadership, and I just can't wait to see how this thing turns out.
2 more quick questions, Coach. I know you got a new quarterback. I know it's tough to replace a guy like Angelo, who did pretty much everything for y'all. But what's your advice to who's the new quarterback, and what's your advice to him, especially starting off tonight?
Well, tonight, like I told him, have fun. That's number 1. Have fun. Something bad happens, keep playing. Something good happens, keep playing. He's very athletic. He can spin the football well like we like him. But the key is just trying to get him in a rhythm and keep him there.
I know as far as Liberty goes, all the headlines, everybody's talking about Caleb Jackson, their running back for Liberty. What are your thoughts playing against a guy like that? And as a defense, it's hard to really stop a guy totally, but how can you contain him?
Well, the thing with Caleb, he's a great running back, great athlete, great person on and off the football field. The key to him is you got to get him before he gets started. It's tough once he gets started because he's such a tremendous athlete.
Coach, this is a big-time Thursday night game. We got Woodall and U High going the other side. Two huge games in the Baton Rouge area with a lot of talent. Just last question, Coach. Where's just the key to tonight's game in order to come up with a dub here tonight?
Well, the key for us is eliminate the turnovers, don't beat ourselves with penalties, and win the kicking game.
Yep, that's it. We'll see if Coach Asbury, the Sun Lab Kittens, get it done and start their tile defense off at 1-0. We'll see.
Thank you.
Now, it was Coach Daryl Osbury pregame as I had a friendly chat with Coach Osbury before the start of the football game. And, yeah, all those are definitely keys to victory in order to come up on top. And that will be a great way to start. Even though the Kittens are the defending state champions, they are still a very young team. I mean, they do have Carl Williams, who is a Baylor commit, but he actually wasn't even available to actually play in the football game because of an injury. So it was definitely a moment that this team was going to grow, because you saw there's a lot of young talent on that football team who was going to merge. You don't have Angelo Izard at quarterback anymore for the Kittens, and he was a guy that played for you for 4 or 5 years, ever since his 8th grade year, and he was a hero of that state championship team last year. So you need other guys to really step up, and it was definitely a moment for them to see who that guy would be. And boy, did they had a tough task, especially the defensive front, when you had to play against a special running back like Caleb Jackson, who's an LSU commit and is offered by pretty much almost everybody else in the country. It was definitely a big game for both teams to see where they're at. It was a good measuring stick, especially week 1, to see where they're at. So check out these highlights to see which team went out on top, whether it was the Kittens or the Patriots. Check out to see which team came out on top with these highlights I put together after the game.
Complete pass for a first down, and then it's a good. First down, second down.
Stay on the floor.
Completion over there,
Those are the highlights from the Southern Lab Liberty game. Final score, Southern Lab 18, Liberty 13. It was a great competitive game to start off the 2022 season in Louisiana high school football. It was a great game. It was very competitive. Both teams were just trying to get a feel for each other early in the game, and it was a slow-moving game because of the weather in South Louisiana. It's hot, it's humid, so you're going to have a lot of delays in the football game, whether it's just cramps and just other issues. It took a while for both teams to really get going, but once they did, I thought it was a well-played game, really, from both sides. I was very impressed with Southern Lab's defensive line because they contained Caleb Jackson. That was going to be really the key in that football game for the Southern Lab Kittens to really have a really good chance of winning the football game. If you shut down their best player, you slow down their best player, most likely they're going to win the football game. And that's what they did. But I was very impressed with Colin Gross, too, his composure and what he was able to do to help his team get back into the game, get a team a chance to really get back into that football game. Was very impressed by him and his composure. Caleb Jackson, he was really shut down, really for the most part, for that football game. But as you saw in those highlights, he did have a 45-yard run that showed why exactly he's going to play at LSU. So you see the ability once he gets that second level of the defense. Boy, watch out for number 2. Now, Caleb Jackson did not play the rest of the second half. After that first series of the second half, he was actually had the crutches, and then his ankle, it was like he rolled up on his ankle. They had ice on his ankle, so he was sitting on the sidelines. Did not come back, did not play for the rest of that football game. So we'll see the injury update on Caleb Jackson throughout the season, if he's actually going to come back for the Patriots. So we'll find out. We don't know how serious the injury really is, but for the most part, Caleb Jackson, he sat the rest of the second half and did not return in action, and we'll see if he'll actually come back to play for the Patriots this season, because they have themselves a very tough schedule. Obviously not a great start that Coach Lindsey and the Patriots wanted in his first game, coach for the Patriots, and like I said, it's going to get harder for them. Meanwhile, Coach Osbury, he talked after the game, so he caught up with me after the game too, and talked about the first win of the season and defending their state championship crown. That state championship title defense is coming off to a very good start. Hear what Coach Osbury had to say post-game after the win against the Patriots.
I'm here with a victorious Southern Lab head football coach, Daryl Osbury, to start the season. 1-0, Coach. Starting that championship defense pretty strong here tonight. And y'all start off really strong. Y'all really punched Liberty in the mouth, and it really translated into the entire game. Just talk about these guys and what they're able to do against a really talented Liberty team tonight.
Well, our guys, we're defending champs for a reason. And that's why I kept telling them, don't forget who you are. You are the defending champs. So every day we strap it on, we're defending it in the classroom, off the field, in your regular life. I mean, they came out and did what I wanted them to do tonight, and they really executed.
How proud of you are on the defense tonight? Because I know a lot of headlines were on Caleb Jackson and what he was able to do as a running back. I know he left early with an ankle injury, but just before that, the defense really rallied around and made plays where you couldn't really get going. Just talk about the defense and what they're able to do tonight against a really talented running back.
Well, Coach Jeremy Smith and his defensive staff did a great job. I don't sit in too many defensive meetings. I allow them to, do their job, and I'm proud of them. We made a coaching change at the end of the season. I felt Coach Smith was a great hire for us, and he's gelling well with the other guys. I'm just proud of the defense. I mean, those guys made adjustments at the half. We had a great defensive plan. I'm just proud of them.
And y'all really rallied behind the offensive line, offensively, that big offensive line. They're able to run the football and pound through the rock. Just talk about those big guys up front and how they take control tonight.
Well, we knew that their offensive line was kind of small. Defensive line was kind of small. The game plan was to keep them spread it out, then lean on them, get Marlon Brown going with some short game stuff, and it worked.
And what do you think about your young quarterback, Marlon Brown, tonight, what he was able to do?
He can only get better. He can only get better. Just, stay humble, continue to film study. I mean, we film study hours and hours a day. We're on the computer at night. And he did a great job.
And Coach, moving forward, what did you really like most about tonight and getting this win against a team that's playing 5A, and what y'all can improve on moving forward after tonight?
Well, the thing is we have a long weekend. I want to make sure we get healthy. We play Madison Prep in a big ball game. Then we have an open week, which will be a much-needed open week. So we just want to get better. We'll be off on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come back Monday, and then let's try to get better.
All right, that is victorious head football coach, Southern Lab, Daryl Osbury, defending that state championship crown off to a hot start.
Thank you.
And there you have it, Coach Daryl Osbury. A very happy Coach Osbury as they start off the 2022 season, defending their state championship crown with a win to start off their title defense in 2022. Speaking of that subject, before I go into it, so make sure, before I go into the subject, make sure to go to Gridiron Football. If you want to check out the post-game report of that game, make sure to go to GridironFootballUSA.com. It's still up there. You can also check the Woodlawn U-High wrap-up as well, post-game report from last week. We got Tyler Barrows. He actually went and followed the team to New Orleans when Madison Prep played the Crusaders. I'll talk a little bit about that game too. So all those game recaps are on GridironFootballUSA.com. And starting this week as well, we'll actually have some scores. We'll have a scoreboard set up for you. Andy Bryson set up. So make sure to go to GridironFootballUSA.com. We'll post those Louisiana scoreboards and really scoreboards throughout the entire country too when we get the chance. But first, starting off with Louisiana, we'll get you that scoreboard too at the end of Friday night. Now, speaking of defending the state championship crown, it was kind of a mixed bag as far as success in week one for the defending state champions. For the most part, there was some success. I mean, Zachary started off the season on a strong note, defeating East Ascension 35-13. So a good way for the Broncos to start off their championship hunt, try and make another trophy, room for another trophy in their trophy case as they try to continue the dynasty that's been the Zachary Broncos led by Coach David Brewerton. Class 4A, Westgate, that was an incredible story what the Westgate Tigers did last year. And Coach Antoine for Westgate, he's showing that the Tigers are not to be dealt with or messed with. this year, as that wasn't a one-year fluke, trust me. And they start off with a message of defeating New Iberia 47-0. It was a rough one for Sterlington in Class 3A, the defending 3A state champions, but you have to play against the West Monroe Rebels, and that's always not fun. So playing in Class 5A powerhouse like West Monroe, I know Coach Doty's going to get them right, and they're going to be rolling once the playoffs start. Sterlington's always going to be in the conversation, but they start off the season on a rough note, losing 24-7. Shout out to Coach Arledge and the West Monroe Rebels on starting off the season strong, especially after last week in the Jamboree when they they pretty much got their butts hit in that game by Ruston. Ruston defeated them by a wide margin, and that was a great bounce back win. So shout out to those coaches at West Monroe, led by Coach Jerry Arledge, to come back and have that defining win over a really good Sterlington football team that's coming off a state championship in decisive fashion, 24-7. Now, Class 2A was kind of a shocker. I didn't really expect this one, with A-Meet losing to Hammond 39-17. Coach Dorset Buckles, that's definitely the biggest win for their program. So shout out to Coach Buckles and Hammond for getting a very decisive victory, 39-17. That is very impressive. A-Meet Warriors are one of the most talented teams in Class 2A. They have a chance to, do a lot of really good things throughout the course of the year. A-Meet always has a lot of talent. You just look at the last couple years and the talent that they're able to produce. They produced the Heisman Trophy winner in Alabama, Devontae Smith. So they always have talent down there at A-Meet High School. But huge win is an understatement for Coach Dorset Buckles. What a win it is for them and the Tornadoes to make a statement and defeat the defending Class 2A state champions by a wide margin, 39-17. A way to go, Coach Buckles and the Tornadoes there. Now, this is one of the biggest lower class games of the state. Throughout the state was in North Louisiana when Homer and Union Parish played a very competitive game. That's the Class 1A state champs against the Class 3A runner-ups. And the Class 3A runner-ups came up on top, led by their starting running back, Trey Holly, who is closing in with that all-time leading Louisiana high school football rushing record. He is really that close to getting that. But Homer did fall short. The defending 1A state champs, 18-14. But really, that's a good. Even though it's always not good to lose a game, but to lose it in a very close game until a team that's very physical. Coach Bafford is going to get this team ready to roll. They're going to be a physical team, and for Homer to hang in there 18-14 shows that they're right up there again as far as trying to repeat for a state championship, Class 1A. And especially on the public side, I really think it's Homer's really to lose at this point. But still, they start off the season 0-1. Catholic High, after defeating Our Lady of Good Counsel last year, they play kind of like a home and home almost, as this time Our Lady of Good Counsel comes over to Baton Rouge, and they have a successful trip defeating the defending Division I state champions at Catholic High. So it was a game-winning field goal, by the way, too. So I saw them against Madison Prep. Catholic High is a really good football team, and they're going to be right in there for another Division I state championship. But they can still improve on a lot of things. And really, they're still a really good football team, but I also think that they're vulnerable too. So, and I guess a lot of those vulnerabilities showed up when they played against that team out of Maryland, and that's not a bad loss. So if you're out here saying, "Oh, Catholic High lost the opening game of the season," well, that's to a nationally ranked team, a nationally ranked program in high school football. So you could have a lot of worse losses, but Catholic High does start off the season 0-1. But trust me, Coach Seminoles, Catholic High, the program that they got, the players that they have, they're going to be okay. Trust me. But they start the season 0-1. All right, I told you about U-High with a statement win over Woodlawn. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about it with Marcus Randall. But the Cubs do defeat the Panthers by a final score of 25-0. One of the most impressive, eye-opening scores of Week 1, considering Ricky Collins, the offense that they have at Woodlawn. For that U-High team to shut them out of the end zone, that says a lot about how talented this defense can really be. And there are a lot of studs on that team. Bickham, I believe, he's one of the state's leading tacklers at linebacker. You got Alsbury, who is the Notre Dame commit. You got Keelan Moses. I can go on and on, but this defense is as good as you'll find across the state of Louisiana. And then St. Charles Catholic, speaking of great defenses, defeating Archbishop Shaw. That was the debut of Hank Tierney. 37-0 is the final score from that one. But yeah, St. Charles Catholic, I mean, right there in Division 3. Now, LCA made the move up to Division 2, and we're still waiting on word on a lot from the LHSAA as far as private and public, who's going to be in public, who's going to be in private. That's still being worked out at this point. We'll probably find out by the time the show airs on Wednesday night. But right now, St. Charles Catholic, they're in Division 3. And they have Newman to worry about, but they've had a lot of success against Arch Manning and the Newman Greenies. You got other teams to worry about too, including the Episcopal Knights, a team I'm covering for and calling their games for. But St. Charles Catholic, man, I mean, if anybody was worried about as far as like a drop off in coaching and everything, when you have the legendary Frank Monica retire, his nephew Wayne Stein's doing a dang good job as the head coach at St. Charles Catholic, and they really got it rolling. What an incredible coaching staff they really have, and that program's going to be really well coached, and they're going to get those kids right. They're always going to be in the right position, the right places, the right gaps. So they're always going to be the right places, and for a fact that they're going to be coached, and they're always going to be at the right place at the right time. And that leaves Southern Lab defeating Liberty. I thought that was a well-coached football game by Southern Lab, and I think them shutting down Caleb Jackson was the ultimate factor. They're obviously the quarterback who likes to run the football. I know they're going to try to dial it down with their young quarterback, but if they can get the football to those playmakers and show off, he's a really good athlete, so still show off his running ability. They can run the football, too. They got a really big offensive line. I expect Southern Lab to play some very physical football when you have that big offensive line. You got that defensive line. That defense is very stingy. It's going to be hard to really score a lot of points on the Southern Lab Kittens this year in Division 4, in Class 1A as well. Some other notes. So Zachary has the longest winning streak right now at 17 games. These are some other high school notes throughout Week 1. Elton, congratulations to the Indians of Elton. It's been a tough go. They haven't won the game in 4 years, but that streak is over when they won Friday night. So I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout-out to Elton High School and pulling up the dub and ending that streak. So that whole coaching staff, the community, the school, the fan base, the players, everybody is elated that they finally got that monkey off their back and they're able to stop the state's longest losing streak. Now, another eye-opener was what LCA did. And we won't go talk a little bit more in the next segment, but LCA defeating Acadiana 38-21. Now, LCA, we know how good LCA is. Before last year when they lost the state championship, they won 4 state championships in a row. So we knew how talented they really are. But you didn't think they would go and play Acadiana, who's been a Class 5A powerhouse. In fact, I'm thinking all the way back really to 2015. Like every year, ever since then, it's really been Zachary and Acadiana as far as who's really represent the state championship and won state championships over the last 6-7 years. And then that LCA team came in with Jawan Johnson, their quarterback, which not a lot of people are talking about right now, but trust me, put the national map on Jawan Johnson. I called his game against Newman last year in the playoffs. He is really good player, and his athleticism was on full display, accounting for 5 touchdowns against Acadiana. Keep in mind, the Wrecking Rams, we're talking about, that same Class 5A Acadiana program that has won state championships and has been one of the best in all of Louisiana high school football. Warren Easton, a very good game. That's a game I had my eye on too on Friday night. Defeating Ruston 25-19 in overtime. I knew it was going to be a really good game, a competitive matchup, and I really think Warren Easton's a sleeper to watch out for in 4A. And I still think Ruston's a sleeper to watch out for in Class 5A. These are two teams that you do not want to play come playoff time, and I really think both these two teams can really make deep runs when they get to the postseason play. But Warren Easton, congratulations, Coach Phillips. And the Fine Eagles, they start off the season 1-0. And I talked to Coach Phillips. He was worried about the early part of the schedule and that they could possibly have a struggle in the first couple of games just because they're a new team. But to have a win against Ruston, that is a huge win for Coach Phillips and the Fine Eagles. So congratulations to Coach Jerry Phillips. And then Brother Martin defeats Madison Prep. I know Tyler was at that game covering that game. That was a big heavyweight matchup. Brother Martin, they've been one of the top teams in the Catholic League. Trust me, the Catholic League's still going to be very tough. I already talked about this Baton Rouge district in 5A and how tough that district really is. But really, if you look in New Orleans in the Catholic League, I mean, that's still right up there. And then when you throw in the cards in the mix, I mean, it's going to be crazy who wins. I'm intrigued to see who wins in Class 5A that Catholic League state champ. I mean, it's Catholic League championship. Winning that Catholic League championship is like the equivalent of winning a state championship. That's how tough it is. Brother Martin, they've won it 2 years ago, so they obviously have a chance to win the Catholic League, and that's a big statement win, not only to defeat Madison Prep, but to shut them out with all their explosive athletes, their big receivers, their speed. To shut them out in the end zone, that's just as good as what U High did to Woodlawn. Just shutting an athletic team with a lot of speed and really good quarterback play out of the end zone. And then those are just some of my notes. Neville defeated Evangel Christian. So that's really a step in the right direction for Evangel Christian. Coach Duran, they're trying to get back the numbers. I feel like the talent's really starting to come back for Evangel this year. And I know it was kind of like a mud pit when they played in, so the conditions weren't ideal, to say the very least. But they still put up an effort, and it was a low-scoring game. It was like one of those old-fashioned, like 1940s type of scrubs in that football game. But Neville comes out on the top, 8-0 in a low-scoring ball game. So those are some of my high school notes. And speaking of high school coaches out there, make sure to check your email this week as we're going to start the Players of the Week. If we're actually in the next video coming up, myself and Andy Bryson will break down who our Week 1 Gridiron Football Louisiana Player of the Week is. And then if you have your nomination, please send it to the email. You'll be getting an email and a text from myself later this week. The deadline is on Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Please fill out the form when you get the email this week. I'm a little behind right now, so that's why I didn't send it out last week. But this week, make sure to fill out your form, and we'll look at everybody that filled out that form, and then your player has a chance to win the Gridiron Football Player of the Week for week number 2. But for week number 1, check out what myself and Andy Bryson had to say on who won the Louisiana Gridiron Football Player of the Week. Or I should say Gridiron Football Player of the Week for week number 1. And there are a lot of great options out there. Check out what myself and Andy Bryson decided who the Player of the Week is.
Welcome, everybody. Great season so far. I mean, I say great season. It's the first game behind us. Man, it's exciting. All this work we've done throughout the off season. Some of y'all just now catching on, or just now logging on, may just now realize this. But Jace is now with us. We're very fortunate that she came on back in August. Marcus and I are super excited about this. Jace has been doing a great job since August. He is now our beat writer for LSU Football. So if you have any complaints about LSU, please email this guy, not me, or Marcus. Marcus said this guy is the guy you guys need to talk to when it comes to LSU Football.
Yep.
So a lot of great things happening. One thing we're going to do this year, now we've got a full-time writer on board with us, is we're going to be doing a weekly Player of the Week for Louisiana. We've done this in the past for the nation, but I think this year we're going to do just for Louisiana because there's so much great football across the state.
Yeah, there is a lot of great football across the state, from top to bottom, and like we always mention, Andy, like per capita, when you talk about Louisiana,
it's as far as players in the NFL right now. I mean, it sends the most talent to.
Right. I mean, I think the NFL statistic is 1 out of every 78,000 Louisianans are in the NFL. Now, you say numbers-wise. Well, Houston is the same size population-wise as Louisiana. You know, Houston is 4.5, 5 million people. Louisiana is 4.2, 4.3 million people in Louisiana. So the city of Houston, population-wise, is the size of Louisiana. Mm-hmm. So we talk about the guys in the NFL from Louisiana. You talk about the per capita wise, and we're number 1. The number 2 is the District of Columbia. I think it's 1 out of every 100,000, mm-hmm. and it starts getting much bigger after that. So Louisiana has the most guys in NFL per capita. I mean, we have some great football down here. Last weekend I was in Orange Beach, Florida. Yeah. You know, I know everybody in Florida tells me, Alabama. I know everybody in Alabama and Florida tells me that, oh, the best football is down here in this part of the country. Well, I was down there the other day and I was like, well, it's not hot, you know?
Right.
You know, on Thursday night I was at Woodlawn with Marcus, and man, it was hot on that turf, you know?
It's hot.
I mean, I've covered games to San Antonio, to Dallas, to Mississippi, Alabama now, Florida. I've been down to Destin, Florida, Dustin, Florida.
Yeah.
And I just... We have something unique here in Louisiana. It's called that swamp air, you know?
Yeah.
You can't, when you got to breathe that in all summer long, all fall, whenever you get down to season week 1, you've got that swamp heart, you know?
Oh, yeah.
That swamp lung, you know?
Yeah.
You got to run all day long, all night long, and it's second to none. And so whenever you get ready to go, whenever I talk to these college coaches, they're excited about recruiting Louisiana. I mean, if you look at every conference in the country, I believe it's every conference of every division has at least one guy from Louisiana that plays college football there. Yep. You may not have every team. Now in the SEC, every team has at least 1 to 2 to 5 guys from Louisiana. Alabama recruits LSU, not LSU, right. Louisiana really hard. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M recruits Louisiana very hard. Actually, Tennessee just signed Woodlawn, the number one cornerback in Louisiana the other day.
And Billy Napier, look at Florida right now. Some of his guys are from Louisiana.
Well, he's got the inside track. You got Jabbar Jalou, you got PT, you've got Corey Raymond.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So that does help.
That does help a little bit, you know. But yeah, so you got, I mean, even Florida State, you know, you got a guy, a guy that was born and raised in Louisiana. Yep. Actually, 2 of them now. Coach Gabe Fertitta.
Yep.
But Coach Johnson, you know, the running back coach, he's from New Orleans. So you can start looking across this country, all these big time programs, all of them have guys from Louisiana. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's not saying that Louisiana is the greatest of all time. But I'm just saying that Louisiana is the
greatest. For the area and how small Louisiana is.
I'm saying it's the greatest of all time.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
I mean, think about it. This year we've got 3, 4 quarterbacks, you know, between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. I mean, you've got Zachary's quarterback.
Eli Holstein.
You've got Arch Manning. Ricky Collins.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then the Scotlandville's quarterback. Zay.
Yep.
So that's 4 big time quarterbacks. And then now you got Madison Prep's quarterback he's looking pretty sharp. Mm-hmm. He's only a sophomore. Yep. So you got a lot of quarterbacks. And Louisiana's not really known for the quarterbacks. I mean, no offense, Marcus, but for the history of Louisiana, it's not really known. I mean, you can name the quarterbacks on your right hand.
Yeah,
you know?
Maybe there's like 1 or 2.
You know, you have an Eric Randall.
Mm-hmm.
You have a guys like Eric Randall. You have a guys like, I mean, obviously Marcus, Rohan Davey, Terry Bradshaw. Mm-hmm. You know, the list isn't very long for Louisiana.
Yeah, the Mannings really. I mean, growing up in New Orleans in general.
But they're not really from Louisiana. They're originally from Mississippi. Mm-hmm. You know, Arch played for the Saints, and obviously they
moved to New Orleans. Right?
But still, so you look at what's going on in Louisiana right now. There's a lot of good football. I mean, from top to bottom, like Jace just said. You know, from the top of the state to the toe of the boot. So what we're going to do every week is we're going to produce this little 10, 15-minute show. And we want to show you guys some of the best talent every week, every day. What's going on? What these guys are doing. I mean, it is unreal. Like I said, I was in Orange Beach, Alabama on Friday night. Thursday night, I was at Woodlawn. You were.
I was at Liberty and Southern Lab. So obviously a lot of talent.
And then you were at Episcopal on
Friday night.
On Friday night. Yep. So I mean, we're at a lot of games, and then all the riders we have, they're out games, Woodlawn or Bel Air or Catholic or Scotlandville or
it goes
on and on and on. So what we're gonna do, coaches, if you're watching, submit to me or Jace, your top performer of a week, and we're gonna put them on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So this week we have 6 guys we want to look at, and we have our number 1 guy that we're gonna pick as the player of the week. Me and Jace both approved this guy. This kid's a big time performer. Had a big game against a 5A school. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, I almost said it.
We'll tease for that first place winner, but we want to go with 6th place first.
So let's go number 6 first. And now, and we looked at these, and Jay's gonna read you off their stats, and you're gonna be like, why is this guy number 6? We're gonna get to that
top 5,
right? There's some big time performers this week in week 1. There were some hungry cats out there.
Yeah.
So let's go with number 6 from Manny, Louisiana, linebacker Tackett Curtis.
Tackett Curtis, he's obviously a name that a lot of people are familiar with. He's a nephew of Jess Curtis, who's the coach at Manny High School. And right now, a lot of LSU fans really want Tackett, but he's committed to USC right now. So he's a top recruit. But everybody knows what he can do on defense because that's where he's going to be playing at the college level. But how about his ability on special teams? He had 3 punt return touchdowns, Annie, in week 1. And he's also the quarterback for the team. So he also threw a touchdown pass in that game, too. He's also playing defense. I mean, there's no wonder why
he's the Swiss Army knife up there in Manny right now.
Right. He is the guy at Manny right now.
All right. Let's go to number 5. Juwan Johnson, quarterback from Lafayette Christian.
Yeah, I actually covered his game last year. It was LCA. It was a playoff game between LCA and Newman, and everybody was talking about Arch Manning. And it was actually that game where really Juwan Johnson came on the scene. He had a great game last year in the playoffs, and he's taken that to this year. He's only a junior, and a lot of teams are going after him and recruiting him right now. But he's going against Acadiana. This is no slouch 5A team he went against this week.
I think they're state runner-up every single year the last couple of years.
It's either been Zachary or Acadiana has won the state championship the last 4 or 5 years. And against Acadiana, Juwan Johnson had 348 yards of offense and accounted for all the team's touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. It just so happens to be against one of the powerhouse football teams in the state.
Acadiana, number 5A school.
Right. So obviously Juwan Johnson's primetime performance, and it's going to be a great matchup between 2 good quarterbacks because Juwan Johnson gets to play against Ricky Collins.
And Woodlawn had a great defense this last weekend when they took on U High. So I'm excited about seeing that matchup this week.
Yeah,
so that's going to be a good one. So he's number 5. So who's number 1?
Yeah, right.
So we're going to go number 4, Elijah J. Davis from Riverside Academy. He's a running back.
Well, we know that the Raging Cajuns always have great running backs. Looks like this is going to be the next guy because right now he's committed to the Raging Cajuns from Riverside Academy. And they played against St. Thomas Aquinas. Now I'm actually going to see St. Thomas Aquinas this Friday night when they do play Episcopal. But 304 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns. He's a guy that we don't really talk a whole lot about just because of all the great quarterbacks around the state. But keep an eye on Elijah Davis this year, and he breaks out with a 7 touchdown performance in week 1.
Now, the next one, number 3, is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the state. I've been watching this guy since he was a freshman. We've had him in a magazine a couple of times. His name is Dwayne Winfield from Lutcher, Louisiana. Big-time recruit, quarterback. Big-time recruit. I mean, I think this kid, he's got offers from Arizona State, Arizona, a bunch of Power 5 schools. Tell us about him. What did he do this last week?
So, he played against Thibodeau week 1, and as far as Winfield goes, and he's one of those guys that we don't talk a lot about, but he should be in that conversation when you talk about all these great quarterbacks in the state, and you've seen him play, you know what he can do. And really, I've never seen a quarterback. He put Lutcher on his back last year in the playoffs, and so if Lutcher is going to have the success they are this year, is because of what he can do with both his arm and his legs. He had 427 yards and 7 touchdowns against Thibodeau. Now, 240 of those came on the ground. And he scored 5 touchdowns on the ground and 2 more through the air. This is a guy that can do it all. He can beat you with his arm. He can beat you with his legs.
Well, the next was my favorite. And I fought to have this guy number 1, but, I got overruled here. All these other offensive guys. But defensive guy, my guy. Defensive end, Jonathan Backs from Edna Carr. Tell us about tell them what he did this week.
Yeah, so Jonathan, this is a stat you don't normally see. Usually, if you see the stat, is throughout the course of an entire game,
or even half a season.
Right, for a lot of people, it's like really their season's work right there. But this is a talented kid. His name's Jonathan Backs. He's a defensive end. He's actually committed to TCU, so he's another end of car guy. He's going to be playing college football. Power 5. Had 6 sacks. I'm not talking about for a game. He had 6 sacks in the first half alone against LB Landry in a 40-6 win. Jonathan Backs is wearing that number 7 jersey. It's kind of like with LSU with the number 7 jersey. And the number 7 jersey represents the best player for Edna Carr. You know, they got a lot of studs in Edna Carr football team. He's wearing that number, and you can see why when he has 6 sacks in only a half of action.
Yeah, I love to see a big guy score. Ain't that what John Madden said?
Yep. Yep. That's right.
So the number 1 guy, he was a freshman. This is why he wanted to become. This is why he got voted number 1 was because he was a freshman. He's a 9th grader. Started in a 1A football team, and they beat a. Well, I'm sorry, they didn't beat, but they lost. They lost to a 5A school. He played against a 5A school. Kevon Johnson, St. Edmund High School running back. This young man tore it up. Coach Shriver called me up afterwards. He's like, man, Coach Shriver's hoarse, obviously. He couldn't talk. He was mumbling to me, Andy, I can't believe what this kid did. This kid is unbelievable. This kid tore it up on a game. Tell us what he did.
So, not bad for a freshman. And remember, me and you were at
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad is an understatement. But me and you, when we were at the media event at St. Edmund High School, Coach just kept on going to us, this freshman's going to be special. Remember, he kept on telling both of us, like, he is going to be special, watch out for him. And all he does against a 5A team, keep in mind, they're 1A. 1A versus a 5A. Had 21 carries for 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, and also, by the way, he had an 83-yard kickoff return for a touchdown in that effort. So, over 300 yards of offense by himself as only a freshman coming in against a 5A school. So all that alone, there might have been some statistical numbers like layered lower on the list that might have been better, but really just the effort that he showed in putting St. Edmund on his back as a freshman against a 5A school, that alone just opened my eyes, and that's why that he's our number 1 Gridiron Football Week 1 Player of the Week.
Yeah, so coaches, if you're watching this, go ahead and submit your guys every week. By 6 o'clock Sunday night, and we'll be happy to show them up on the show here. We're going to also show this segment on the Chase with Jace.
Yeah, Chase with Jace. That's right.
That'll be aired Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, so make sure you stay tuned for that every Wednesday. Man, it's going to be a great season.
I'm excited already. We're off to a fantastic start in Week 1. LSU, that might be a different question right now, but really, as far as Louisiana high school football, I've already seen plenty of great football already, and we're going to have a very fun season in 2022.
Yeah, I'm excited about what's going to happen this year. I mean, I like you said, LSU. It was a little disappointing on Saturday and Sunday night. However, I think there's still a lot of great football to be played. LSU's got a lot of great things going for them. They were able to see a lot of things that, areas they need to work on. It's their first game against somebody, first practice, so to speak.
Right.
Against somebody wearing a different colored jersey. So it's an opportunity for them to sit back, reflect about what they did right and what they did wrong. I'm looking forward to reading your article later today about the 5 things you see right and what you see wrong. But yeah, so I mean, it is LSU. They're going to bounce back from this. We play Southern this week, and so, I don't think anybody's even thinking about what happened Sunday night at this point. I think they're all thinking about what's going to happen this next Saturday night. Yeah, in Tiger Stadium.
There's a lot of good things I saw with this LSU team, and keep in mind, I'm not making any excuses for LSU, but they didn't get a chance to really have a tune-up game, and Florida State did get that chance to have that opportunity.
What's football? So I mean,
it's football.
Anything happens on when the lights come on. So yeah, so stay tuned for more. We're gonna have a lot more football this season. You'll catch me on the sidelines this week. I'm actually going all over to Dallas, Texas this week. So I mean, it's gonna be a little bit haul.
You're going everywhere around the country, Andy.
I'm not nailed down anywhere. My wife knows that when it comes August, she just kisses me and then I'm off.
I'll see you when I can see you.
I'll put 50,000 miles on my car, and I'll see you when I see you next time. I'll see you after the bowl game, babe.
That's right.
So So we'll be making a big announcement about the bowl game on September 7th, Wednesday, September 7th. We'll be making a big announcement about that. So got the contract in the office right now. I'll be signing that, where the state bowl game is going to be at. It's exciting.
Y'all stay tuned for this announcement.
It's going to be big. So it's pretty exciting. Everybody's excited where we're going to be taking it. I've already spoken to the mayor's office. Oh my goodness, everybody. So everybody's pretty excited about this. I've told all the coaches in the game, and I've even kind of hinted around to a lot of the players that we're going to be inviting. So big news coming on Wednesday, September 7th. We'll be launching that out as well.
Oh yeah,
so
I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So, make sure you guys watch Chase with Jace at 7 o'clock Wednesday night, and you'll hear the big announcement about the bowl game, where it's going to be played out, the details, and I'm pretty sure Marcus is going to be talking about that. When you guys.
Oh yeah.
So
when we do our segment, he's excited for it, and yeah, keep in touch with Chase with Jace on Wednesday night, because Marcus is going to say a lot about Florida State, so we break down a lot of Florida State, LSU, but we also look ahead to Southern, which I know is going to be a special time for not only him but his brother as well. That LSU Southern.
last time the brothers went against each other, Marcus won.
Yeah.
In 2019 we put the
and I was at
the bowl game, the Gridiron football bowl game. Yep. So Marcus and Eric, if you don't know who Eric is, Eric Randall was the former Hall of Fame quarterback for Southern University, and Marcus, obviously everybody knows Marcus, but we had them coach against each other for the 2019 Gridiron football bowl game, and so Marcus came away with that big victory, beat his older brother. And he said the trophy's still in his mom's house, and that way they see it every time they go eat turkey for Thanksgiving.
Marcus always has to shove it in his face every time. Say, "Is that a trophy? That's mine there."
Well, I know Marcus pretty well. Marcus is a pretty humble guy. I don't know if he does it just like that, but
right. I'm sure it's a little something.
Yeah. You get a little ribbon every once in a while.
Well, every once in a while. Yep, I'm sure so.
But make sure you guys stay tuned. And if you have a young man that you would like to nominate for a Diamond in the Rough, contact Jace or myself, and we will send us their huddle film. We'll take a look at them. Typically, I like to have the head coach contact me. That way I know the young man's got the academic standards. From this point forward, we're not putting anybody in a magazine that's got less than 2.8 GPA. Just because the magazine, we got to reserve it. We've got kids from all over the United States now. So we want to make sure everybody in the magazine has at least 2.8, because the college coaches, that's the first thing they always ask me, what's his GPA? Yep. So if the kid, if you don't care about your grades, then you really don't care about, if you want to play college football. If you don't have grades, you're not going to be playing college football. So make sure you're doing your homework. My wife's a speech therapist at an elementary school, and she tells me if kids just did their homework, they would have at least a B average. So just do your homework, because if you do your homework, you're going to be in class one time. That's what homework's to do. You're going to make sure you're going to listen to what the teacher's saying, because that's what the homework's going to be about.
That's half of it.
And then when their texts come due, 9 times out of 10 the questions come from the homework. So, theoretically, if you're doing your homework, you're probably going to get a B.
Yeah.
So, do your homework. So make sure these guys have a 2.8 GPA, because, like I said, college coaches want to know that. So we do have that standard nowadays.
Yeah, we do.
So make sure you have a 2.8 GPA. Send us a huddle link, and have the head coach reach out to me, because we're going to ask that question. We're going to request the transcript. And make sure they do have a 2.8 GPA from now on.
And speaking of the magazine, this month September coming out, we're going to have a pretty big issue coming out very soon.
Yeah, we've got over 82 colleges in this month magazine.
Yep.
That's it's a lot of work.
It's a pretty lot of work right there.
But we have 82 colleges in the magazine, so we got a feature of St. Edmunds this week. Or this month, and then we have a lot of kids from all over the country. A few other high schools have been featured. One out of New Jersey, one out of Ohio, a couple out of Louisiana. So stay tuned for that. Yep. I'm Andy Bryson, CEO of Gridiron Football. I'm joined here by my right-hand man on my left-hand side, Jace LeJeune. Thanks for watching.
And we continue. We end the show with some college football talk. And it was a crazy week of college football, and really my biggest takeaway really from week one is that how special teams plays a role in football games. And obviously you heard me and Marcus talk about it when Marcus was on the show for Slinging It With Marcus. But another game that happened, NC State and East Carolina. East Carolina missed an extra point and then follow that with a missed field goal, and they would just made their kicks. They would have defeated a top 13 team in the country in NC State. So it was a heck of a game. That game, an 11 o'clock slate, I was watching that one. And, of course, the classic, which was really no defenses. The defense was just kind of like just frowned upon in that game. But North Carolina and Appalachian State, really impressed by May at quarterback, Drake May for North Carolina. And if he develops, man, watch out for that guy at quarterback for the Tar Heels. And then for Appalachian State, was very impressed by Chase Bryce as well. Really impressed with both those guys and what they're able to do. Up and down, a back and forth football game. No lead was safe. Looked like North Carolina had themselves a pretty safe lead, but here comes Appalachian State storming back. North Carolina returns an onside kick for a touchdown, but it's still a one-possession game. And then all of a sudden, about a minute left to go in the game. I'm not sure it was even a minute, like 30 seconds left in the game. Here comes Appalachian State scoring a touchdown and then going for two, and they just came up short on two-point conversions. But that was a classic of a game. And boy, what a statement Georgia made when they played Oregon. 49-3. I don't think there's no national championship hangover you have to worry about up there in Athens, Georgia. That was impressive, I gotta admit. 49-3 was your final score. Stetson Bennett, man, I mean, he not only looks good, but he looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the nation good. I mean, now, we've highly criticized Stetson Bennett over his entire career at Georgia. But this guy really needs the respect. He's deserved the respect. He's earned it. We've questioned him a lot, but this is the actual first time that I'm like truly convinced. I mean, he won a national championship for his team. Georgia hasn't won the national championship since the early 1980s when Herschel Walker was running the football. And he was the one that broke the streak, or helped the team break the streak. Now I realize that the defense, you could say the defense was the reason they won the national championship, but Stetson Bennett for sure didn't make them lose the national championship. He actually made a lot of plays in that national championship game. So I have a lot of respect for him, his journey, what he was able to go through, and I really truly believe that Stetson Bennett really deserves to be mentioned as one of the top quarterbacks in college football after that performance he showed against Oregon. Georgia, to me, after week one, it's still week one, but to me, after the first week, for sure, and what they were able to do to Oregon, they looked like the best team in college football. Week one, but like we said, it's a long season. Arkansas defeated Cincinnati. KJ Jefferson looked really good, 4 touchdowns. I was really impressed by Cincinnati, too. So it shows you that Luke Fickell's got something going on at Cincinnati. And for them to be competitive with an SEC West sleeper like Arkansas, that really showed me a lot. And I think that Cincinnati is still going to be the thick of things. And really when they make the transition to the Big 12, they're going to still be good as ever. And have a chance to really put themselves in the mix, too. Florida, wow. Billy Napier, what a debut of Coach Napier defeating Utah 29-26. That was a great game. Now, I came away after watching both teams really impressed by really both teams. I know that Utah came on the losing end of it, but man, I still think they're the favorite in the Pac-12 after what I saw last night. Even though Cam Rising threw a bad pick in the end zone at the very end, knowing that they had at least 3 points to tie the football game, still impressed by him. They got a really good, receiver, tight end, H-back type of guy. That's a mismatch in the Pac-12. They're still a physical team. I feel like that they, physicality-wise, they matched up well with Florida. And Florida's going to be one of the most physical teams that you'll play this year. I guarantee it. I've already seen it. And Anthony Richardson, watch out for that dude. That dude is a playmaker. He's a stud. And to be honest with you, I don't know why he wasn't really starring all last year as well. But this dude is a playmaker. He's wearing that number 15 jersey for a reason, and you can see moments-wise. So he has a chance to really take over football games and has a chance to be a very special player down in Gainesville. So do not sleep on Florida. Ohio State, I think they're the most talented team in the country, but their offense didn't show up as what we were expected to. We were expecting this offense to be the best in the country and put up 50-something points. Credit goes to Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman for really holding back that offense. But I thought the defense did a really good job of really hanging in there at Notre Dame for Marcus Freeman's debut. In Ohio State, credit to Jim Knowles and defensive coordinator for the Buckeyes as they had a really good plan, number 51 for Ohio State. He was phenomenal through that game for the Buckeyes. So, and they really need to win games like that. We know what they can do offensively, but when their offense is not clicking on all cylinders, their defense needs to step up. They don't have to be perfect every game, but they need to step up when they need them to. And that night, the Buckeyes defense stepped up. So those are some of my takeaways throughout the world of college football. I'm super excited when college football playoff announced that a 12-team playoff was coming up for college football. Super stoked about that. The more teams, the merrier. It will actually feel like a playoff, and it gives more teams opportunities with players, sitting out so-and-so games because they want to save themselves for the NFL and won't get hurt, risking injury. And then after losing the first game, after losing the first game, you still tell yourself that you're actually still in the mix here. Like, the season's not over after you lose week 1. So I love the move made by the college football playoff. I love the sub too. The top 4 teams get themselves buys. I like that. I like that the higher seeds get the chance to host. It would be cool to have a college football playoff game. Let's say LSU in a couple years from now makes a college football playoff and they're a number 5 seed. How cool would it be to have a playoff game in Tiger Stadium? That would be very cool. I'm so happy they made the announcement. Could be as early as 2024, as late as 2026. Regardless, I'm glad that we're expanding the playoff. I don't want to expand too much because you want to keep the regular season. That's what makes college football so special. But that about 12 is about the most I can really take. So I think it's a sweet spot right now for college football. Expand enough where you get a lot more teams in the mix, but at the same time, don't expand too much so you can keep the regular season as special as it is in college football. Great move by the college football playoff, and I'm super excited that they made that announcement. Well, this is going to wrap it up here for the Chase with Jace. I'm your host, Jace LeJeune. Super excited for another week of Louisiana high school football, college football. So I'll have stories all week long with the LSU Tigers as they get ready for the Southern Jaguars. You can also, if you miss anything of that crazy game in week 1 against Florida State, you can go back to GridironFootballUSA.com and I'll have pretty much everything. I have a drive-by-drive recap. I have stats, quotes from coaches. Jason Saucier did an outstanding job of taking some great photos in the Caesar Superdome. So check all those out. It's on GridironFootballUSA.com. Coaches, make the announcement. I make the announcement again to you. There's another PSA to you. Keep an eye out for either a text or an email, because they will actually get both from me that about the form that you need to fill out at the end of this week. So let's say you have a player run for 300 yards and 5 touchdowns, whatever. Well, fill that out for your player to have a chance to be the player of the week for Gridiron Football USA. So that's pretty much about it for me. Just keep up to date with everything we got going on at GridironFootballUSA.com. Got a lot of LSU coverage and Louisiana high school football coverage for myself. We have the show now at 7 o'clock. We made the move to 7 from 5 to 7. So that way, that I know a lot of y'all coming home from work, y'all need to settle down after a long day. So it takes you a couple hours after about 5 o'clock or so. So 7 o'clock, make sure you check out the Chase with Jace live on Gridiron Football's YouTube channel. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with all kinds of videos and and on LSU or high school football game action or anything that's going on, make sure to subscribe to us at Gridiron Football, at Louisiana Gridiron Football for our YouTube channel, and go to gridironfootballusa.com for daily content. We got a lot of content each and every day, so make sure you check that out too. Now, I'm super excited. LSU Southern this Saturday, and really some good Louisiana high school football. Still haven't made an announcement what game I'm going to Thursday. I'm kind of leaning on right now for Thursday. It's still going to be, you might find out in the next day or two. So make sure just to keep up. I'll make sure to post it on my Facebook page and Twitter account as well to see what game I'm going to for Louisiana high school football on Thursday. Now I'm going to have to announce a game on Friday for VSN, but I will be going to a game for Gridiron Football on Thursday, that is for sure. So, got that right, gridironfootballusa.com. We have our monthly magazine in, so when you go to gridironfootballusa.com, go to the top of the page. Our monthly magazine in September will be here. We have 82 colleges covered. Can you believe that? We got 82 colleges covered, including LSU, but we go all the way down to Division II, Division III schools too. But we have a lot for you. And then also keep up to date. Andy Bryson has himself a big announcement as far as the Gridiron Football Bowl game. So it's some big news, but you have to make sure to go to Gridiron Football USA later this week in order to get that news. All right, I think that's going to be it for me. LSU Southern, I will give you a pregame report. I'll also give you a postgame article, so go to gridironfootballusa.com for that. After the final bell has rung on the clock, the final whistle's been blown, make sure to go to Gridiron Football USA for a post-game recap between the Tigers and the Jaguars in a historic matchup in Baton Rouge. Well, this is going to be it for me. I'm Jace LeJeune with the Chase with Jace, and I always end the show asking you, what are you chasing? Good night, everybody, and enjoy your football weekend.